Hi, how are you? As a real estate agent, is it okay to have a dual representation? That is representing both a buyer and seller in the same transaction? How dual representation works, what are the pros and cons? And the proper ways to do so if you wish to proceed with this setup? This is Charlotte from Real Estate Career HQ. In this video, we'll have a look on the different aspects about dual agent. Hopefully, this can help you to determine whether it makes sense to incorporate dual representation into your business practice. When a home buyer searches for a home, they usually will work with a buyer's agent. On the other hand, a seller would have their own listing agent to help them with the sale of their home. Each agent has a fiduciary responsibility to their own client and works in their best interest. In a dual agent situation, there is only one real estate agent representing both the buyer and the seller. This salesperson essentially becomes a middleman between the two clients. There are several benefits in a dual representation. Since the same agent represents both the buyer and seller, there is better communication between both parties. If the buyer has a question about the property, the agent can quickly get in touch with the seller to ask for more information. First of all, the agent has a thorough understanding of what each party needs and wants since they are communicating with both the buyer and seller directly. It truly eases the negotiation process and removes lots of guessing games. Furthermore, the agent should know well about the property since they are also the listing agent. Not only would they know the basic details, but they would also know the property's history, its key selling point, and any important details that might not be apparent at first glance. All these could help massage the deal, resulting in a fair price for both the buyer and seller. Having one real estate agent representing both the buyer and seller can save on costs, as the dual agent doesn't need to share the commission with another agent. Therefore, many are willing to reduce their rate. However, being a dual agent also has its drawback. The first one is the potential conflict of interest. The agent's duty is to get the best deal possible for their client, but in a dual agency situation, they are trying to get the best deal for both parties involved. But realistically speaking, the best interest of different parties might not always align. In fact, it seldom is. The seller obviously would want to sell at a higher price, while the buyer would want the opposite. This could put the agent in a difficult position. Furthermore, since the real estate agent could earn a higher commission in a dual agent setup. So will they be tempted to show only their own listings to home buyers rather than openly search in the market? As a listing agent, will they lean toward only bringing potential buyers which they represent and not the ones who may offer the highest bid? The agent's ability to give their professional advice is restricted in a dual representation situation. They can't push for a higher selling price if they represent the seller or negotiate harder for a lower purchase price if they are representing the buyer. Everything has to be fair and square. Even though they know the bottom line of both the buyer and seller, they cannot reveal them to the opposite parties. For example, our content producer, Jacob Coleman, has hired a dual agent before. The salesperson could not comment on whether his offer was too high or too low. The best he could do was provide Jacob with comps and general market updates of the neighborhood. Another drawback is the trust issue. Even though the dual agent could be trying to work in the best interest of all parties, some home buyers and sellers still have trust issues. Some feel the agent would not work hard enough to get the best deal for them because they are trying to appease both sides, or they might help the other side more. If you really like to proceed with dual representation, you should check with your real estate broker whether they allow this practice. There are a few states such as Alaska, Colorado, Florida, Kansas, Maryland, Texas, Vermont, and Wyoming which do not allow dual representation. You should disclose the dual representation relationship to both parties and make it clear that you are working as a dual agent. All parties must then sign a dual agency agreement that outlines the terms of the representation. Clear communication and transparency are also important. You should keep both parties informed of any offers or counteroffers made by the other party. You should also make it clear that you cannot offer any advice or guidance during the negotiation process. Of course, you must remain impartial throughout the entire transaction and cannot give either party an advantage. If an agent fails to disclose their dual representation relationship, they could be subject to disciplinary action from their broker or the State Real Estate Commission. The penalties can range from a penalty fine to a suspension or even revoking their license. So make sure you follow the state laws and best business practice from your real estate broker. So here are some of our thoughts on being a dual agent. We also have a full blog post which talks about this topic a lot more in depth. Be sure to check out our site. Once again, this is Charlotte from Real Estate Career HQ. I hope you find this video helpful and thanks for watching.